spiritual food for thought. Welcome back to Spiritual Food for Thought. I thank you for joining me once again. In this video, I'm going to continue to talk about holiness. Now, in the previous video, which if you haven't watched, you may want to go back and check it out. I'll put a card up over here if you do. We talked about holiness and kind of an entry-level understanding of some things, including without holiness, no one will see the Lord. So this is very important for a believer to be holy. But a lot of times what I find in life, even talking with professing believers, is they have ideas about things, or they think they remember something from Scripture, which isn't actually there. So one thing that I believe a number of people are convinced of is that holiness is all imputed. Something like, well, because I believe in Jesus, I'm obviously holy. Or if I believe in Him, then He makes us a peculiar, holy, set-apart people, and that's where we're at, because I believe in Him. I do not believe that's the case, and I'm going to show you the scriptures that would back that up. And I hope this is something that, if you're not quite dialed in on this, that this is worthwhile spiritual food for thought for you, and something to consider. As we begin Romans chapter 12, verse 1, by the hand of Paul says, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. So here he has an exhortation that you should live as a living sacrifice. Present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God. Now I can show you from the Bible where there are certain things that I can do that would make me unacceptable to God if I lived in that manner unrepentantly. It's part of the reason I gave up being a drunkard. He said, do not be deceived. Drunkards were not going to inherit the kingdom. That made me unholy, and it made me unacceptable to God. So I had to ask Him for His help to leave the bottle behind, that He could make me a new creature and help set me apart. But I had to choose to do that. Just like here, if all holiness was imputed to us simply by believing, there would be no reason for Paul to write that we should present our bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God. Because just by believing, we would already be holy and acceptable to God. There would be no other way to present ourselves as believers. Therefore, no reason to mention it, but it is mentioned. And not only by Paul. In 1 Peter, which we're going to touch on more next time, and we're going to follow a rabbit trail of where this leads. We're going to follow the breadcrumbs. But 1 Peter 1:15 says, but as He which hath called you is holy, so be ye holy in all matter of conversation. Now, conversation here would be the old English way of saying like lifestyle, you're living, how you're doing things. It's not just speech. It's in your manner of life. But he says, as He which calls you is holy, so be ye holy. There is an exhortation for the believer to be holy. If simply being a believer in Jesus made me holy, then there would be no exhortation for me to be something that I already was and couldn't not be without rejecting my Messiah. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes, we believe in Him, and then He calls us to a level of holiness that is not imputed. It means there are things that we have to do or not do in our life to be holy, as He which called us is holy. I know that this seems probably off. Maybe it's got a funny taste in your theological mind right now, but chew on it for a moment. And basically, if we are something, and if there's no way we can't be as believers, then there would be no exhortation for us to be that, because there would be no other option than to already be that. Does that make sense? If by being a believer in Jesus Christ, I just automatically inherit a level of holiness that can't be tampered with since I'm a believer in Jesus, right? There would be no exhortation for me to be that, because I would already be, because it would all be imputed to me. Meaning I would just receive it all because of Him. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that you can follow that so far. And as encouragement for next time, just a little sneak peek, I would encourage you to look at 1 Peter chapter 1, and see where it leads you. Read through that. I just grabbed one verse out of here, but there's a lot more to it, and there's a lot that I believe the modern church misses almost 100% of the time. Again, words have meanings, and there's a reason that things that are recorded in the pages of the Bible are recorded the way that they were. It's a big book anyway. These words are not in vain. They're not just thrown in here as filler. They mean something. So please consider and meditate on that. Search the scriptures. See what else comes to mind. See what else scripture has to say about that. And I'll see you next time. Be blessed. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.